And we are live. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, our Insta audience. Hello, our Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube audience. Nandaji, I've sent you the request if you could join in on Instagram as well.
Waiting for the request to come through. Hello, everybody.
I am resending you the request in case if it hasn't.
Hello, everybody.
Oh, yeah, cool. Nandaji is there on Instagram as well. So let us just start with our live now. And today we have a very interesting topic, everyone, in our episode 21st of Thoughtful Thursday, presented by Educate to Elevate, an initiative by two globally renowned coaches, Nanda Bodadkar and Sheikh Uzma Jamal, who are on a mission to train the young leaders and turn them into a magnet of success. That has been the vision of both of us since the time we started Educate to Elevate. And through our Thoughtful Thursdays, season one as well as season two, we have been trying to bring in such globally renowned people who can share their golden nuggets of wisdom to help you become a magnet of success, as well as time and again we keep doing such special episodes where we take up such topics which are so important in our personal as well as professional life. you know these are those burning issues and those things that we need to bring in our personality to become great leaders or to excel in our personal and professional life. And that's why today we took up a topic that is how to say no. How to say no if you are a people's pleaser, or even on a general basis. It's a small word, just a two-letter word, and even then we find it so difficult at many incidents in our life where this no gets stuck in our throat and it does not come out. It becomes so difficult for us. Even when we want to say no, our mind is screaming, say no, but we just smile and say, yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, it's okay. But then we need to understand that the power of no is equally as important as the power of yes. Nandaji, what would you like to say?
I so agree with you, Uzma. All of us, as growing up, with children, have experienced this where we have not been able to say no, and this has got carried into our adult lives also. So many times we are overloaded with work. So many times there are requests we don't want to comply with, and yet we are not able to say no. Personally, I believe that a lot of this comes from our individual cultures. Our culture somehow is a lot about respecting, is about obedience, is about giving into the higher authority. And that somehow carries into our real life. And even, you know, as kids, because this has been so much enforced into us that we are not able to say no even for self preservation.
True.
So many children also, when something is amiss, which adults are not able to make out, if they're saying no, the parents will say no, they'll force them to do it, especially kissing somebody who comes home, sitting on somebody's lap. And I'm sure you have a similar story to share that, you know, about
Yes.
how did these things happen. I'd like you to
Yes.
share.
So very true, Nandaji. Our past plays a very important role in turning us or shaping us into becoming a people's pleaser, or us having this, difficulty in saying no to people. Why? Because yes, as you said about the culture part, in India, we are taught to be polite. We are taught to, help people. And of course the intention is nice, but then somehow our parents in the, they get so carried away in this pleasing other people, or trying to cement this fact that you have to be good and nice, that they forget the entire preservation or understanding the boundaries, or where the kid has to be comfortable, and then that becomes the personality of the kid. I, some months back watched this video. It was a small reel made by a girl, and I would not say haunted me, but it got me thinking for such a long time, even after watching that reel, that yes, this is so true. Such small incidents can actually make us very different adults. Like in that video, she showed that when she was a kid, an uncle came to their house, and the uncle said that, let me, take you in my lap. And the kid wasn't comfortable, because of course the kid also understood the difference in a positive touch and a negative touch. And she said no to the mother. And the mother scolded the kid, saying, he is your uncle. Why are you saying no? Well, do as your uncle is saying. There's nothing bad. You must, sit in the lap of the uncle. And reluctantly, she gave in. And she went and sat in the lap of that uncle, despite the fact that she wasn't comfortable. And because of that nurturing, or that kind of, upbringing that she had, as an adult, she became a person who could not say no, because she felt that I am offending the other person and I have to always say yes. And when she was in a relationship and her boyfriend asked her to have physical, relationship with her, she wasn't comfortable and ready for it. But when she was trying to say no, she recalled the past and she said yes. So that video made me feel that yes, even such small incidents that on a daily basis, if we see it superficially, we might not feel that it's a big deal. But these have such great impact on our psyche that we become, I don't know, something else as adults. I mean, I would say broken adults, seriously. Have you ever had any experience, Nandaji, where you faced the difficulty in saying no in your personal or professional life?
Yes, Uzma. Having grown up in a culture where, it's important to come across as somebody who is ever ready, and here ever ready went beyond boundaries, ever ready went beyond, self-preservation, ever ready went beyond anything that is normal, and it went into the people pleasing. नहीं लोग क्या कहेंगे, how will people react to it, what will people think about this? So we have to say yes to everything, we have to say yes. My mother, I lost her in October. She was 84. A year or two before that, she was 82, 83 years old. And she would insist on going to meet people who are not well, or people who are, there is some issue. I was like, Mom, it is so important that at your age, you preserve yourself. I'm not saying that I don't want to kind of confine you into home or something if you're feeling energetic enough, but at your age, you don't need to extend yourself so much. And traveling really large distances in really uncomfortable modes of transport, I thought that was not required. And but she was like, no, I have to go, because she said, what will people think? People will think I don't care. People will think it doesn't matter to me. So these things also drive people. And recently, when I was doing one of the self-development emotional, uh, you know, assessments, it was found that a lot of my people pleasing has come adopted from my mother.
Hmm.
We look at our parents as our role models, and then we follow that pattern. And then it goes into a unhealthy lifestyle where we start feeling stifled. We feel stressed. We feel completely overwhelmed. It is so
True.
funny, Uzma, that they say that sometimes people who are very compassionate are also people pleasers. But this kind of compassion goes into the, again, I would say, the negative side of compassion, because no matter how compassionate you are, if you don't take care of yourself, I feel
True.
somewhere you're losing, the whole entire picture. And in the name of compassion, these people will never be able to say no. They'll want to go more, more, more out. And there's this very beautiful story of Karna also, if you remember from Mahabharata. He could never say no to anything, and that was eventually the cause of his death.
Yeah, and it was so much glorified, Nandaji, as Dhanveer Karn. But actually, if we think that that was actually not a very, positive decision because it led to his death. You're very true about this thing.
Yeah. So over to you. Why don't you share some things and some more things about what really makes people, of course, culture, obedience, but there are so many more factors that lead people to become people pleaser. I'd like for you to share some things.
Yes, I feel apart from the past experiences and upbringing part and this culture part, I feel a lot of low self-esteem also results in, people becoming people pleasers because when you lack that, that self-worth part inside you or the confidence, you are always kind of dependent on other people. And there is a constant need of getting that external validation, so you tend to do things which other people like. I mean, especially during our, I mean, I feel our school time and college time, we all have done this, to be in that cool group of the school or college. I mean, I remember I have also done things which I wasn't comfortable doing because I wanted to be in the cool group of my school. My brain was saying this is something really stupid. Yeah, I remember was like I participate. I used to participate a lot in dance and everything, and we had an annual function. I think it was seventh or eighth. We were in that class, and we were supposed to go in our free periods, or we used to have a zero period, and that was the time we were supposed to practice. We were allowed. Now, when I started practicing, I took a leave of 2 days, and then I came back. So I had my group of friends who were with me in that performance, and they said, "Oh, it's okay. Let's bunk all other classes also. We can practice, and we'll talk to our dance teacher and blah blah blah." Now my brain was saying we will get into a mess if we do this, but I did not have the courage to say no to my friends that let's not do it and let's go back to the class and attend the classes. And I did that for one day, we were say. For the second day, it was the last period and the bell rang. But our teacher was still taking the lecture. So by the time we came in, the teacher said, "Where were you?" So we said, "We had practice." And one of the students said, "Ma'am, the practice was supposed to be in zero period only. They have been bunking." Oh my God. And then we landed up in a soup because of that. And I realized, okay, this is something that I should not do ever again. If I am not comfortable with something, I should speak up. But then, I mean, these things keep happening. So I feel that time, of course, I was not that much of a confident person, which I became later. And I feel that that time it was lack of self-esteem that resulted in me becoming a people's pleaser. Also, one more thing I feel, Nandaji, and I would like your opinion on it also. I think somewhere, not exactly people's pleaser, but not being able to say no somewhat comes from the fact that you are an over performer or even being a perfectionist. Because when it comes to the work part, there we want to prove ourselves so much and we want to be in the limelight, and despite the fact that we know that it is going to burn us out or it is not practically possible to do all the things, but we end up saying yes instead of saying no because of that being the perfect one in the team or being an outperformer. What do you feel about that?
I feel a lot of this over and above the performance is the person's need, to be wanted. It's more about the
Yeah.
person wanting to be accepted as exceptionally good, wanting to be, like you rightly said, a perfectionist. It's only when we are perfectionists that, we burn ourselves trying to do things so perfectly that it goes beyond our sense of, endurance and everything else. And yet, I think I'm
Please,
echoing
Nandaji, come to me. Yeah, please continue, Nandaji.
yeah, so then it is like going beyond your endurance also and wanting to perform. So while the person may be exceptional, and if the person follows a healthier way of showing their excellence and their outstanding performance, it would be something extraordinary. But burning themselves up to show that they are high performance is more about them wanting to be accepted, them wanting to show, and then them being accept perfectionists. So
Yeah.
this is my take on the on a situation like this. Just yesterday, I mean, I was watching a video. A young lady, uh, she has gone through so much in her life where, as a young girl of 14, she got into. They went for a picnic. On the picnic, it was a co-ed school, so they went for a picnic. This is somewhere in another country, but again, most cultures have this thing about, young people not getting physically close to the opposite sex. And they had gone on a picnic, and as a dare, can you do this? Can you do this? And it became, go kiss somebody. So she went and she kissed that person, and then that person got so excited with the whole thing that on the journey back, they sat on the last seat of the bus. And then there was a little bit of, groping and necking and all that kind of thing. Now somebody turned around and looked and then told another person and another person. And this girl became, for her life, like she started being called a slut. No longer was it considered that, oh, this was a dare and, uh, probably they're a couple or that she's in touch with her bodily desires and she's a 14-year-old. She got stamped as a slut, and she was actually with a therapist trying to get help to overcome that. And she said the same thing, that at home there was so much about obedience that
Yeah.
I couldn't say no. While the first time it was a dare and the first time it was my teenage rebel, the second time when the boy wanted me to go further, I could have easily declined, but because of the house circumstances and how we grew up, I couldn't say no to him. And then she was, like branded for life, and she's struggling with getting her sense of self identity, her sense of dignity, and everything back again. So there are many, many things, like I said, compassion is also one thing, culture is another thing. Also, certain cultures, people are exceptionally sentimental. So
Yeah.
people don't want to upset the family, close family members, or immediate family members or extended family members. So they feel that it's better to comply with the request than to have any kind of conflict. So
Yes.
also I've seen somebody that when you come from an exceptionally authoritarian kind of family, too much disciplinarian kind of a thing, you are not able to stand up and say no. You hate conflicts. This is another thing that leads to
Yeah.
people becoming people pleasers. Why don't you
True.
share
True.
something?
Yeah, this is such a nice point that you have shared, Nandaji. In fact, it did not occur to me honestly. But yes, the fear of confrontation, and when it's there, in the family that there are issues, everybody knows about it, but nobody is ready to talk about the elephant in the room. It really makes people very much uncomfortable in doing the difficult conversations or confronting other people. And yeah, it is also one of the ways which has its ripple effect to people being uncomfortable saying no. And now that we have talked about all these basic reasons, Nandaji, I feel we do need to also little bit harp upon, though we would be coming to the solutions, but I feel people should realize that how not stopping ourselves from saying yes to everything is going to affect us. It is going to have so much of adverse effects because there's always a sort of resentment and anger that keeps coming inside you, because and the anger is for your own self also. Like, it's of course for the other person who is giving you too much work or is trying to take your undue advantage, which you know about, but there is so much anger on yourself that happens because you become a people's pleaser, you're not able to say no. I remember I've been through this for so many years in my own professional life. Of course, I wanted to be a perfectionist, I wanted to be, the best performer. There was always that highly competitive spirit, and I was like in a race to please my mentor, that I'm always there to live up to your expectations, sir. That there were situations where I was supposed to be practically present at two places at the same time, and I knew that it's not possible, and still with a smile on my face and literally screaming inside, I would say, yes, sir, I'll do it. Yes, sir, I'll do it. And that, more being angry on the other person because his job is to get the work done by hook or by crook, I felt angry on myself. And it really affected my mental health, to be honest, Nandaji, and not only mental health but also physical health a lot. So I feel that is a very like negative effect that people get when they have, when they get into this tendency of saying yes, yes, yes every time. What do you feel are some of the other effects, negative effects of being a yes man person?
Also, I'd first cite one more cause. It's like fear.
Ah,
When fear has been built inside of us so much that, we are not able to say no, obedience is expected out of us, that we end up saying a yes, even in the most unwanted and abnormal circumstances. What it does for us, how it affects us, is we have no self esteem left. We are not able to be our own person. We are not able to stand up and say, I'd like this. I have had so many people come to, in fact, to both of us. We've discussed this earlier on during some other
true.
conversations. People are not able to ask for a increment in their salary. They are not able to, stand up and say that I deserve so much and I need to get this much. If multiple things are thrust on that person over and above what is the profile that has been given to them, yet that person will go on accepting and say that, yes, I will do it. So it's also that you lose your self esteem, you lose your dignity, and in turn, you end up losing having that respect and dignity amongst your colleagues or
True.
your people in the office because they feel, oh, we have a very, what do you say, like a cuss word in India, which is chattu, which means somebody
Hmm.
who doesn't mind licking
Pick
somebody's,
up and
yeah. So that's also there, but that person is basically struggling to find a niche or a opening for themselves so that they feel relevant in that whole circumstances. You lose your
true.
sense of self, you lose your sense of dignity, you lose your sense of belonging, and you're only reduced to saying yes to everything.
Right, so right. It can all be said that you kind of lack your own authenticity.
Very true.
You lose your authentic self. And also I
Very true.
feel, Nandaji, it does affect the relationships also. I mean, the person who's always saying yes may feel that the person is trying to please other people, and when he or she says yes to everything, it is going to, like, people will consider the person polite or helping and kind, but somehow this always doing yes makes the other person in the relationship take your efforts for granted. And because it's always like, never putting up yourself as the priority or your own needs. And also a lot of people who are not genuine in the relationship start taking undue advantage of you. So that ways, personal or professional relationships, I think they also start getting affected a lot when are always saying yes to everyone. And
That is so
in
true,
fact, yeah,
Uzma, that
please, Nandaji.
I'm saying that's so true. That when you allow people to take access, people are going to take access and treat you like, like a piece of, like a dirt, that you really are
Absolutely.
just there, you're expendable kind of a thing. So they'll keep treating you like, do this. And the jobs will become so mundane and so like, not dignified jobs. I completely agree with what you're sharing. Please continue. You are making a point.
No, I was just saying that, well, I feel when when everybody who's listening to us might get a bit overwhelmed with, this is so much, like it becomes a part of our personality, like we lack self-esteem and so many things. How do we overcome it? It is so tough. And as we have also discussed that we have been guilty of this in our personal life as well. So to everybody, I would say, without like thinking that, you have to start saying no to everybody, which is so tough at the initial phase when you have, become somebody for so many years saying yes, yes, yes every time. I think first of all, the self-awareness or observation part is very important. Like, I feel first you must realize that how much yes you are actually saying to people on a daily basis, or how many no's, or instead of no, an ambiguous answer of maybe you are giving with because you are fearful of saying no. So I feel the first thing should be to make a track. In fact, jot it down and see, number it that okay, I have said these many yeses in a day and these many no's, if it might be, and then sitting on and thinking about the yeses that I have said, how many were the genuine yeses that I really felt it came from the space of helping somebody, and how many yeses were forced. What was and then understanding the next step was like when you have realized like out of 10, 8 were the ones which were the forced yeses, asking yourself that what is the baggage behind it, why have you said yes, what is that fear from where it is coming, what is that emotion, is it the the desire of being accepted, it is to be a performer, is it this self-esteem part, pleasing part, what is the root cause from where this yes is coming? And then of course we can start working on it. Like if you have 10 yeses in a day, try making it 9 the next day. If not, no, not making bigger goals, but at least reducing that one yes of the day should be the first, I think, can be one plan of action through which slowly we can work upon. What do you feel about it, Nandaji?
So, Uzma, creating boundaries is so important. What
Yes.
you just shared about, writing down your yeses and nos, what are the genuine yeses, and, how could you at least wriggle out of the thing. One of the other ways to wriggle out of, being unable to say no is like asking for time. Just give me some time, I'll,
Yeah,
I'll get back to you. This way, you're not being, you're not really saying no upfront, but yet you are wriggling out the situation by asking for time. Now, when you ask for time, that person, if the person wants something done immediately, would either go to somebody else, or even if the person waits for you, you have your time and your, uh, you know, priority to look at and then say that whether or not you want to do.
absolutely.
That is really so important. It brings me to the thing of saying, like, we always talk about you can give when you are full, right? A
Yeah,
glass can only spill when it's overflowing, and then only it goes into some other vessel. Now, all of us need to think about it. Are we fulfilling ourselves? Are we taking care of ourselves? If we are not taking care of ourselves, no matter how good we are working only at the partial potential.
true,
So,
true.
knowing that, yes, we can take time and tell the person and then do the thing will be the time of, self-care, self-love, where you are making time for yourself, you're making your priorities important, and then saying a yes or a no to the other person accordingly. And often when you ask for time, what happens is the other person who obviously wanted to push something onto your table will need it urgently, so he'll try to look for somebody else to do it. And then you're saved
True.
out of the situation. So these are
Yeah.
also some of the ways, your self-love, creating boundaries, having your own priority. Because if all the time we are accepting things from other people, when are you going to prioritize what is it that you need to do? There was a story. Is it okay if I say this very
Yeah, of
quickly?
course, of course.
Okay. So there was this story of two people who went to work, okay, and both were doing very well. One was a person who was very self-assured, who knew how to do things. The other person was a people's pleaser. There was this one time when they both were called into the boss's office and they went, and just then the boss got a phone call. So the boss picks up the phone call, and these two guys are standing there. Within a couple of seconds, the guy felt that, this man is going to be busy. So he just puts his file on the table and he leaves, making that I'll come back later gesture, and he leaves. The other guy, who's a people's pleaser, continues to wait there. And he's just standing there for the boss to finish his conversation and do. It was very important for him to show that he doesn't mind waiting, he doesn't mind being there, he for his work. But unfortunately, when the call got over, the boss was very irritated with him that A, you made me very uncomfortable because I was on a call, that I had to talk
Yeah.
with somebody else's presence. And two is that, don't you have anything else to do that you're wasting your time standing in my office when I'm busy on a phone call? Did you not see your colleague walk out? When it came to appraisals, the guy who was self assured, who left and went, was the one who got promotion, even though this guy was equally good. But the only thing was he was a people's pleaser. So if we think that by trying to please people we are going to get our way through, it's not going to happen. This is another reason why people become people's pleaser, because they want something. So they think that if we give so much of ourselves at the cost of losing out our time and our sense of self, people will appreciate us. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
This story was very evident to show that when it comes to appraising people, if we are not somebody who are more committed to work, but we are more committed to pleasing our boss, then definitely even our own boss will not choose us. Over to you for some more sharing.
Nandaji, this was such a nice story, to be honest, because I think a lot of people are going to remember something which they must have done in a similar way, in the similar capacity. I feel so. And yes, I mean, a lot of people do it. And I feel the point that you said about, taking a pause is so relevant because when you take that pause, you can always ask yourself certain pertinent questions before saying that yes. And I feel those questions, people who are watching can make a note of it also. Like, the first one, I feel the question that one must ask is that, is this, by saying this yes to this particular thing which the person is asking me, is it going to prevent me from doing something else which is more important to me? So first, asking this question is very important. And then secondly, I feel whatever the other person is asking me to do, and if I'm going to say yes to it, is it aligning with my the goals of the day, the values that I have, or the priorities which I have set for myself for the day or for the coming week, whatever it is. I feel that is also a very important question that one must ask. And then also asking yourself a third very important question, that will this yes result in making me even more tired and burn out? That is also a question, that answer to which will give a reality check to people whether they are saying yes, this yes is actually fruitful for them or not. And also then further to it, it can be added that saying this yes is going to affect my mental health or emotional fitness in a positive way or a negative way. So these, I think, 4 5 questions, when you're taking that pause and you ask yourself, you can have a clearer mindset to decide, to make a decision whether you want to say yes or no. And I feel people, because I've seen actually, one of my clients has this major issue. She is not able to say no to people, and she would have meltdowns at 12 or 1 at night because she has said yes to everybody and she's not able to fulfill. And then there is so much guilt inside, there is so much of self critic which is there, who would say that you are not good for anything and stuff. And I feel to her, the strategy which I've been applying, Nandaji, is that I've told her to take small steps in saying no. And rather than saying a hard no, trying to say a softer no. You know, maybe saying 2 3 sentences, slightly explaining herself, okay, this is the reason, and no, I can't do it. Rather than that, being a little bit polite and saying it. And first, I have tried her to be comfortable with saying no in her comfort zone. So I knew she was busy, and I asked her to do something, and which I knew she does not have the bandwidth to do. And she was about to say yes, and I said, look, you can say no to me if you want. I won't mind it. And it took her, the this, that, a lot of things. She had beaten around the bush for 10 15 minutes. And I said, it's okay to say no to me. Relax, take a deep breath. I asked her to take deep breaths, and then she said, okay, I think I won't be able to do it. You do it. And then she said all the sad emojis to me, and I gave her, a clapping, and I said, good job. So I think for people who are at that stage, that saying no to people right now seems to be such a Herculean task, can start with their comfort zone, with their own, me people. And they can talk to them and have their support, where they the person knows that, okay, even if I say no to this person will not feel bad. And then once the person gets comfortable, then the person can later on go and say no to people in professional world, or to other people. And I feel one more interesting thing is maybe going to some unknown public place, maybe going to some restaurant or something, where you know that you are not going to come to this place again, and you're never ever going to face that person again, and you can say no and run away. So that thing also, as an experiment, people can try. What do you think about that, Nandali?
I think that is very true, and yes, it can be done. I also feel that, let's become aware that if you are feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling burnt out, if you're feeling irritated, it means you're extending yourself way, way, way beyond your capacity. That's the first thing, to start becoming aware that you're saying yes to too many, situations or tasks that is being given, and it is beyond what is happening. It will also bring people to criticize you if you make a commitment and then you're not able to fulfill, like you shared a few minutes ago. There was a time when you were expected to be in two places and you said yes, and
Yeah,
obviously you cannot be in two places, and if you miss out going to one place because you have said a yes, obviously you would be like extending yourself to such a great extent, and yet not being able to do it, that you will see that people are getting annoyed with you for having said a yes, and they would feel that their planning went haywire.
it happened.
Yeah, yes. So it is so important to understand that you can only give your best and be appreciated when you are first understanding that there is a limit to your capacity and you cannot extend yourself more. And as far as it comes to saying no, I also encourage mirror work. You play out a scenario in your mind, stand in front of the mirror with some didi, that is an elder sister, or some elder brother, or like your uncle or aunt, or somebody is saying that do something, and you're standing there and listening, playing that scenario in your mind. Probably you can even shift, like a role play, your uncle is saying or your auntie is saying, and then you stand there in front of the mirror and say, no, it will not be possible for me this time.
Yeah.
Eventually, we, like, from softer nose, we have to build ourselves up to being crisper and more you know precise at that moment,
Yeah.
because it can, when you're younger and if it is family environment, yes, a softer no can work. But if you're in a workplace where everything is time bound, you will have to say no, it's not possible for me. you
Yeah.
know the I was offered a job and I was asked to come to be there. My earlier experience was, when the job is offered and when we are offered to come, usually the time extends, right? And me being a people's pleaser would want to extend the time all the time. And now that I'm reaching out to such larger populations, it was just not possible for me to commit to being there and to get falling back into the same patterns. So,
Absolutely.
despite knowing that I'm losing out on a very beautiful opportunity, I felt that it's more important to say a very decisive no so that the institution which has given me so much can also take their decisions and go on ahead to do what they need to do, rather than in this space of wanting to say a yes and wanting to be there, wanting that affection or that validation from those people. I continue saying a yes and then not being able to fulfill my own aspirations, which is to reach out to a larger element, a larger section of society.
Mm.
So I think what you said is very right, that we can begin by saying a gentle no. We can begin by practicing mirror work where we take ourselves through the situations to be able to say no. And we should eventually be able to say a decisive no when it is talking about our place of work. Because otherwise,
True.
again, we will be considered as time wasters.
Yes. True. Ambiguous
So,
answers can actually lead to tarnishing our own image. And as communication coaches, we often train our, clients as well to how precisely, because we as NLP practitioners also know the importance of words and how they should be placed. So we tell the right way how you can actually put forward the no and what should be the correct polite words that you can use. In fact, I think we have even shared one of the posts on Educate to Elevate's Instagram feed as well about where are the various ways how you can politely say no. So you can go and even check out that post after this live. And I also feel in terms of establishing boundaries, Nandaji, when it comes to saying no, because I just recall that this is what I did for the professional thing, because there was a lot of even if my time of working was this much, there was a lot of staying back. Okay, I would be honest that in the staying back part I was not able to say no much, but then late night calls happening or too much of that used to happen in terms of discussion of work. So then I made this boundary, which was not directly saying to the work people that, look, I would not be picking up my calls. But then this I did because of, a healthy lifestyle, that I said that during, and you also even know it because I have missed your calls also many times when I'm taking food. So this was a conscious decision that I took, that when I'm taking meals, I will keep my phone away. So no matter, even if my boss used to call or anybody, I would not pick up the phone. And once or twice when the call was missed, I said this thing, I was taking meal and this is the rule in my house. And I told that this is a rule which I have made in my house, that nobody is going to use the phone when we are having our meals. And then everybody in the professional setup got to know about it. And later on, everybody became okay. They knew that, okay, this is Coach Uzma's time of eating food. And even now, when like we started our own initiative, there used to be times when clients would call us later than a particular time that we have had. And then we both decided to keep our professional boundaries where, look, this is the time, till then we are going to have professional discussions or the clients calling us. And we have been following that. So I feel,
especially especially
yeah,
our
Nanda,
Sundays.
yes. See, I do feel that entrepreneurs have to work 24, like, there's no a particular day as Sunday or something, but this was a conscious decision that Nandaji and I took, because it's all about practice what you preach. When we are telling our clients to have that time for themselves and, have that free time, me time, one day to just, keep away all the tension of the work and just replenish and rejuvenate yourselves. So why should we not do that? So we have done that,
Absolutely.
and this works well for us because then we have a very positive intention with which we start our day on Monday, and then we work towards it very nicely and we are more energetic like that. Otherwise it's like more of every day working, and your brain is not able to execute and understand where are we going, where is my that break that I need it. So I feel these kind of small steps of boundaries, because I feel when people talk about boundaries, no, it also makes them uncomfortable. Okay, how would I say to the other person how to make these boundaries? I've never said it to people about, okay, this is my time. But this example of mine can actually, I think, make the audience also understand that without being very out and loud to the people, look, this is for you and I don't want you can make such small boundaries also, wherein the other person might not feel offended. And as far as boundaries are concerned, it's not about the other people, I feel, Nandaji. Other people will behave the way they have to behave. It's us that we need to, realize and understand that we should not get affected by the presence and the action of other people. That is what is setting up of our own boundaries. What do you have to say about it?
I completely agree, and I feel that only when we make boundaries, there's some, like you said about the not using the telephone during eating, which is such a healthy practice. And you started it, and everybody in the family accepted, and you guys started following it. So much so that all of us, whoever are in touch with you regularly or who interact with you, also know that, oh, this is meal time, so she'll not be available. So it has automatically created a boundary for everybody to know that the person will not be available. Each of us, whether it is you, me, or anybody who is listening to us now or later, wants everything immediately. It needs to
Yeah,
get done right away. It needs to get immediately done. So if we also plan ourselves better, then this pressure of getting something done immediately will not happen. And safely the boundaries can be created so that people understand and know that at this particular point, this person will not be available. All the people who jump into it and say, oh, if it needed now, I will do it. I will forego my food. I will forego my me time. I'll forego my rest, but I will do this. Is not doing anybody a favor. There is nothing in this world that cannot wait for you to preserve yourself first. You make
yeah,
yourself a priority first, and then you get on to do whatever is required and necessary. And do not misunderstand or mistake what I am saying, because I said right in the beginning that planning is very important. You need to plan your time very well so that whatever it is that you need to do is done within the time bound situation that is required, and yet you're able to keep your own boundaries, your own me time. If you do not have boundaries, you will see that people will just kind of you know get into your space without respecting your time. And many Indians always feel that these are all Western concepts of boundaries, and here we don't have that. And in our country, we don't have boundaries. But
Nandaji, you have got frozen on StreamYard. I can listen to you on Instagram. Oh, you have come back. Yeah,
yeah,
please.
I'm saying that a lot of people think that these are Western concepts, that we don't have such things. We are always available for one another. Let me tell you, the word is maryada. The Indian word is
Yeah,
maryada, where we've said apne maryada mein raho, which is, the Hindi word for boundary. It's
yes,
not something
so
new
true.
to us. This has been a part of our culture for very, very long, whether it is, uh, you know, man female interaction, the way we behave in public, the way we carry ourselves, the way we speak to our elders. There's always it'll be said, apne maryada mein raho, please stay within your boundaries. So these are not new concepts. It's just that it's been spoken about a lot more these days. So please know that it's part and parcel of self-preservation.
Yes. Nandaji, I came across a very beautiful post also, where somebody had actually made boundary into a full form, where BOUNDARY was written, and in front of it was written, be aware of what is unacceptable, and with N, normalize saying no, do what is best for you, and know that it's not your responsibility to sacrifice, and the last five was yourself for others. And I found it's such a beautiful explanation, a very apt explanation, that this is what boundary should mean to you. It should not be something which petrifies you or scares you, but it should be something that it is not necessary for you to sacrifice yourself for others. And adding to that, Nandaji, I feel even I think
So
yeah,
just,
please, Nandaji.
excuse me. This word, since you said sacrifice, I wanted to come in. This is another thing that cultures, kind of
Yes.
put it so much into you. You should have a sacrificing nature. You should sacrifice yourself, and you should. And while sacrificing for the right kind of cause is, worthwhile, to sacrifice yourself because sacrifice has been so glorified is not the
Yeah,
correct way of doing things. That's what I
true,
wanted to
true.
share. Can
So true. And what I was saying here is, Nandaji, that even positive self talk can also really help you to come out of this habit of saying yes, yes every time. Because the moment we, like, saying no gets you into that guilt mode. Oh my god, what will the other person feel? Am I a bad person for saying no to the other person? My god, it seems so selfish of me. That person needed help. So many these things start coming in our mind because we say no to somebody. So I feel doing a little bit of positive self talk, that I deserve this, and giving yourself that permission to your heart and your brain that go ahead, say no. It's okay to say no. And talking to yourself positively, it's okay. I said no because I needed this time for myself. I have already so many things in my plate. I needed to say no here. It's absolutely a correct decision, Uzma, that you took, that you said no. This is not going to harm anybody. Instead, if there is a reason, I mean, you may feel that that person needed you and you already are too much tied up, you can give a substitute as a help, no? You can direct the person to somebody else. Look, I am not available right now, but this person is there who can help you out in this situation, so that the guilt goes away. So I feel doing that positive self talk again and again, reassuring yourself that this was a right decision to say no, and nobody is going to get hurt because of this. And maybe giving some other help, or substitute helper to the person, so that you don't have that guilt also laden on you, is one of the things I feel can also be helpful in saying no.
also, it makes me realize that a lot of times, we've been harping about this thing about self-love, esteem,
Yeah,
dignity. A lot of people want to be in the midst of things because they have a fear of losing out.
yeah,
So
for
it's
more.
not always about you are expected to do or you're wanting to do. You make yourself available because you have the fear of losing out. And
Very
here,
interesting.
yeah, and here it's also important to understand that nobody really loses out on anything. There is always another thing that's there just around the corner. If you're eating your meal, you don't need to forego your meal to have to do an errand or a task. You eat your meal in peace with your boundary that this is my meal time. You get up, you've had a nourishing meal, you're feeling so good from within, and then within a few minutes, you can get up and you can start tackling because there'll always be another task and another task and another task. So nobody is really losing out anything. These are the things we in the positive talks we need to keep telling ourselves. We're not losing out on anything. We are not less important to people. We are not going to be sidelined. We are important, and we will do things on priority. We will keep our boundaries intact, and we will make sure that we go ahead and offer our best, because as much as we want to do and as much as we want to offer ourselves, let us make this a practice to only offer the best of ourselves. And the best will happen when you have taken a pause, when you have, respected your own boundaries, When you have dealt with things on a priority level, only then will you be able to give your best. And nobody loses out anything ever.
So true, Nandaji, so beautifully put. And I feel we're almost coming to end of our, discussion. I feel at the end of the day, as you said, and it's a beautiful line that is said that no is one of the most powerful ways of self-love, saying no. So that is something that everybody who is watching this or who is going through this, struggle of saying no to people should understand that saying no is not that you're doing anything bad to anybody. It's actually a form of self love that you give to yourself and you truly deserve it. There is nothing bad in saying no, and it is required for you. And as it is said that when it's only by saying no that you can concentrate on the things that are really important to you, and you actually will have more capacity and power, and you will be even emotionally stable to help people in a better way. So we would like to say that I hope these tips are going to help you, and the in-depth root cause that we discussed, you were able to relate to it, and you were able to judge and understand where your people pleasing attitude is stemming from. And in case you need to dive deep further and take personal help from us, Coach Nanda and I are always there available. We are just a DM away. Connect with us, email to us, connect on our LinkedIn, Instagram, wherever you feel like. We have a lot of clients who are taking help from us because they struggle saying, no in their professional personal setup, and we can help you out in that as well. So, just want to say, no is a complete sentence in itself, does not need any explanation, and no is for you, and no is as powerful and as positive as yes. What else would you like to say to sum up this episode today, Nandaji?
Just that from the time we are born to the time we die, every single moment we are evolving, we are growing. So from your yes to a no is also one of the phases of growth. Please do not consider it to be anything else. Do not let any other judgments come in the way. You are allowed to say a no, whether you say it gently or you say it very decisively. Build yourself up and just make sure that you make yourself a priority and you enjoy living that fulfilled life where you're not feeling stressed, irritable, and burnt out. Lots of love.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching and giving all the stars and hearts and everything on Instagram. That's all for this Thursday. See you next Thursday with some interesting topic. Bye bye, everyone.